let's get in it, shall we? Kel is not a Vanguard player. Kel is a Infernal player, though. All right. Our first qualifying match starting up, spawning up here in the north. Good lucks, have funs coming out for both players and our red Celestial player known as GameFriend. His opponent, spawning in the south, is going to be our blue Infernal player known as Kel. All right, so we're seeing a little shift adjustment here. Normal stuff that we're seeing against our Infernal player is the Iron Vault. Now, if you're looking at it, it's like, oh my gosh, they're being very defensive inside their base compared to the last couple of matches. Well, part of that is the reaction and the response to playing against a Infernal player. You know that they are going to be active, and whoa, check this out. I like this a lot. We've talked about this Titan Causeway before, but if you had missed it, let's go through it a little bit. It's a map that has a very large, wide main base. Your natural, of course, just tucks yourself in here. Very safe, easy to secure, like you would expect to see. There are creep camps set up right below your bases or right above your base, depending on where you are. Basically, we're going to see both players kind of going like this, moving on the left side of the map, creeping up and down this location, because this is where all of the creep camps are located there. Same thing can be said here for our Celestial players. We'll be kind of creeping up and sending our troops on down, because this will be where all of this is located here. We're going to be seeing this kind of up and fight here, but this is an interesting location here. There is this camp in the center, and you can normally only access it by destroying the trees, but getting over here and getting the speed camp right away, we have a heavy brute opening here. So oftentimes you will see players go for kind of the Iron Vault conclave side of things, but this is a kind of set up here, a delayed conclave, heavier brute opening to creep with, utilizing as much as they can to save up for the shrine. Now, this kind of progression, take over all the map we can, is going to be the important part. But look at this little fiend coming in here and gets the confirmation that it is going to be a Kree opening coming out here. So the Kree we talked about is very powerful against the normal traditional Gaunt opening. So how are players responding and dealing with this? Well, they're opening up with a heavier brute count to really get out and start creeping before we start getting all of our Gaunts in there. Nice little defensive, of course, meat farm in here for our Infernal player, but things are going to be set up a little bit differently this time around. We are going to, of course, grab the vision camps for both players, but you saw both speeds camps get taken, which is, you know, really nice. But remember, you only need one unit to get in there to be able to take control of it, and that is going to be the case here. You don't have to worry so much about that being under your opponent's control for long. So natural is almost secured here, but we are not seeing that take place yet for our Celestial player. So they are kind of almost behind economically here, but we are in a small window where you've invested so much in this expansion, right? That's 350 of your resources that is not currently able to get bought back. But look at this wall. Great Sim City here, and the brutes are being the meat shield, doing exactly what they're supposed to here and just stopping them from getting through. Popped fiends coming out here. We really need the Gaunts to be dealing the damage. There we see the skull coming out here to infest and help out, and there's the explosion. Boom, turns into some fiends. So great SimCity. The Shroud Stone is going to get added up, and this is that kind of risk here. But look at the sneak of the Fiends. They got in and were able to kind of slip past the defensive here, forcing our Sovereign's Watch to come down to defend against this. And now we can sort of successfully defend it off the attack. Yes, we've lost basically our map control for the time being, but the Fiends are out here. They were able to deal some damage, get some extra damage on the Creation Chamber as well. And now we can kind of go over, double check, okay, did you take an expansion here? I can start grabbing it over and taking control of all of those. Oh, careful. Ooh, the explosion. Remember, when Kree die, they end up turning into bombs. So you have to be careful if you are not paying attention with your Hexen, not paying attention with your Gaunts. They could just take easy damage out of nowhere and be in trouble there. So expansion is up. We're going to be seeing kind of the traditional tech up here as the Plague axes come down. We've talked about getting access to that extra DPS, getting access to the infestability for the Gaunts is necessary for the next stages. But we look at the brute count, it is kind of low. So we can't successfully move out for the time being. We don't really need to, right? We're going to be kind of relying on our fiends to get out on the map, continue to take over the watchtowers the best we can. The Kree coming, and they're going to roll, and it's basically going to be just a chase back and forth between this little micro battle as these players try to stay active. This is the one benefit of having an Infernal army with the fiends is you get to do this. It just takes one unit to capture a site. Who knows if that'll change in the future? But for the time being, this is kind of one of those advantages you get for being Infernal, that you get to zip around. In the meantime, we get to sneak in here as well, get some scouting information, see what's going on. The Star Forge gets scouted. So we know exactly where the push is. Also, seeing the Arc Station start to move out, we kind of know that he's going to be going for this expansion here and going to start setting up at this location. So we send our Fiend over to kind of watch that and monitor that area. There's the additional conclave. We talked about it, and look at this. Even more going to get added in here, and part of that is getting that scout off and identifying that it is going to be the Star Forge coming, and knowing very likely there'll be some sites coming added in here or additional units to kind of support the Kree, right? The air superiority. Now, the natural will start to get secured momentarily here, but it's really going to be, again, how active you are on the map. Are you getting out there? Are you taking control of all these towers? Are you sitting back and turtling up and being defensive? It's better for you to be in control of the towers at this point in time. And there's the fiends coming out here. Part of that is you can, create a couple of brutes, pop them, turn them into fiends, but we also have the access to kind of infest and turn stuff into other things. But there we go. Kree are stationed in locations to kind of put the deny, block, delay this as much as possible. And look at this. We'll catch this and stop this. So very, very smart adaptation here from our game friend, able to kind of identify that these fiends are going to keep zipping around the map, and we'll be kind of locking that location down. How are we doing? Oh, nothing yet. I was like, all right, where's the next stages here? There's the power bank. Now we're getting ourselves progressing and moving our way forward here. Of course, got our collection array almost done for our natural, and we're going right over here and going to take over and get a Luminite mine going over outside and take this location. But look at this. This is the pathway here that was surprise. I'm taking this as well here, and this will be very nice, getting that additional Luminite income, turning all of these units into fiends as well when they die. And this army is very, very scary. There's a decent amount of Kree, but there's even more Infernal, and they're moving their way across. Look at this. Going to take out the power bank. The Prism is forced to run away, not going to be able to survive. And Kree trying to get on top of the Gaunts. Can he get there? The Scythe is here, though, which will be able to help out, but the Kree is not enough. Look at this. Even dropping down the effigy, the totem, to allow additional armor. All these units are able to get that extra white bar of health and armor, and GG is called. Game 1 goes to Kel with a nice little defensive play into a nice timing push there. So very, very nice to see. Oop, let's switch over to this. Yeah, very nice to see from both players in that situation. But it really was the setup of, hey, I'll be very active with the fiends I've got. The timing push of the Kree moving in, could have easily killed lesser players, but Kel was ready and prepared and set up with a very nice Sim City there. Use the brutes to tank and absorb so many of those hits, which is exactly what you want to be able to see happen. So very, very nicely done. Of course, GameFriend just kind of set in an awkward spot of really not comfortable on that map to be able to move out, but it is a best of 5, so that means there are plenty of chances for both players to come back and be able to make things work here. But we're going to be jumping in. Lost Hope is going to be our map of choice here. Boom. Do you see that? What a amazing collection array, or what an amazing reveal right off the bat. So this is a 4-player map. All right, you can spawn in any of these locations here, right? You could do the cross spawn. You could be up and down vertically from each other, and we see the vertical spawns, which depending on your spawns, it does impact where you're going. All right, and look at the Hexen already here. Got the scout off, knows exactly what's going on. So let's, you know, keep an eye on what's going on in the map, and we'll talk a little bit about it. So it is a very large map. It's very easy to secure your 3 bases very, very quickly here. So we see collection array getting added in, the power banks, the normal stuff that we're going to be seeing come out from our Celestial players. There's a Morph Core coming in, so we can kind of power up and be able to deal some damage, but the Hexen knows this and will be recalling back home there. Creation chamber coming out behind all this. So the double iron vault opening worked out very well. Oh, okay, that was weird. Double iron vault opening, get the brutes going and get the creeping going. So we've talked about it. Your natural expansion, very easy to secure. There's just one ramp into it. The pathway here gives you access to a camp right away that you should be focusing on and gathering up and taking out. Of course, you do have your little pocket third base there. Every now and again, I'll take that as my quote-unquote natural, just so I can get access not only to, of course, the Luminite, but the Therium as well. But you also have a 4th base here. Now, this is a dangerous 4th base to take because it's in this vertical alignment here of where your opponent is. This location is really tough for Kel to take, and I don't think we're ever going to see him take it, especially because we know that our Starforge, GamerFriend's a Starforge player, and we'll be able to easily get in there and harass. Not only that, is there are the trees that you can destroy and mess with. So that could be an option here later on if we see that take place, and of course take out these trees with a Fiend, go for that. We see a quick expansion. Fiend's going to get in here, get some scout off, get some information, going to be pouncing right on top. Take advantage of these early stages where there's not very many troops, where Celestial is weaker, especially when you're investing so much in so many expansions. But we see quickly reacting to this, we'll be able to kind of charge up here. It uses that Sovereign Watch to defend, and we'll be able to kind of force these troops on back, but going for a nice little push, and we'll be out on the map trying to take over. And now look at these Argents coming out. They're going to be targeting down the Hexen. Is he paying attention to it? We'll be able to kind of micro his way around it. It says, I don't really care about your Argents. You don't have enough to really deal with me here. I can start making some Fiends too and really utilize this area. We'll poke up again, checking to see what things are looking like. Yeah, look at this. Just kind of walking his way in here. Fiends are coming out here, but it's not enough to really bust this location. But you're forcing your opponent to, you know, feel the pressure, feel like they're in a tough spot here. Part of it is like we're going to be on a 3-base Celestial very quickly. 4-base Celestial here. Collection array coming out for all of the bases. Let's take it all. I can turtle up safely because of the only way to really get into the base is you have this location here, right? We know that there's this ramp here that you can get in. There's this pathway in, but there's no real easy way to get in there and bust this location here. So this is kind of the aware of the map and kind of taking advantage of what he needs to do in this location. That also makes it really tough because that means that the map is free pickings for our Infernal player, right? The Infernal player gets to move out and take over and creep and be able to be active on the map while, you know, the Celestial player has to kind of turtle up for a little bit until he feels comfortable enough to start moving out. Now, this is risky to do, but by utilizing the Celestial's ability, he can just ascend this right away and take over it. There's the big transition that we normally see. Conclaves getting added into the mix. We've already got the Plague Axes on the way. So we're going to be seeing that 3 Conclave transition here, kind of the next stage, the next tier that you expect out of an Infernal player, right? You want to start out being active, aggressive with your brutes in this sort of matchup, and then kind of transition to the high DPS that's available with our Gaunts. In the meantime, the Fiend snuck into the base and got the confirmation. Oh, I wish we had that vision mode that we do with replays and Observer like StarCraft, where I could sit here and look and go, ah, check this out. We can see that he has scouted these locations. I don't know if he scouted this pocket expansion yet, but he knows that this is taken. So we're going to wait and see. Are we going to... Oh, okay. Here's the reaction. Let's take another shrine. Let's go. And that is revealed too. This is a great little reveal spot. You get to see exactly what's going on between the bases. And so both players, if you just kind of come to terms, we're turtling up a little bit. Let's do a little bit more of a longer macro game. There might be some very specific timings that these players find that they could try to go for and hit here, but for the meantime, they're okay with just sort of tunneling it up and being a little bit defensive. Legion Hall. Oh, nice. Animancer's getting added to the mix here. So one of the benefits of playing Celestials is you get access to these really powerful spellcasters to kind of help you out here that you got to be able to utilize and micro their abilities here. So we're going to see how well GameFriend tries to do that in this series here. But again, we talked about how much map control is available as an Infernal player when your opponent is just turtling up. And every time you see watchtowers or energy towers or health towers get taken, you know where your opponent's army is. Or at least in this case, where most of them is, right? Because we've seen that you could just send fiends and take over stuff. But we're going to try to hit a timing here where we're going to try to catch the army outside the base. And that's what we're going for here. Going to get this around the fiends, trying to find the angle. And oh, look at this. Perfect timing. The Animancer tries to get him in there, does that black hole, and great little splitting here. Problem is, Gaunts are now split over on the right there, and look at this. Another great black hole going to be coming down here, and that's that perfect timing there, utilizing his spellcasters to help him out. Gaunt's dealing a lot of damage, and that, oh, another black hole. Ooh, my gosh, the Animancer doing so much work here. And look at the Fiends getting just shredded in the process here, but that infestation from the Gaunts made all of the difference here. Is it enough to be able to take out? I don't think so here. We've got, of course, our blast node doing that little bit of AoE damage. You see how great of a defensive structure this tower is to kind of lock in and say, no, you cannot bust me. You have to stay back. And that worked out very, very well there. So the Animancers putting in work with that little black hole ability that they've got here. So it's something that you have to be able to split. If you stay in there, you're just going to get shredded. Now, that's the downside to coming up here. Like, the blast nodes just do so much damage, and it just like, oh, anything that's in this circle is taking damage. You have to be able to split and pull it. How good of a reaction time. I have struggled as an Infernal player in this situation where I'm sitting here and wanting to move in and try, like, oh, I've got the superior army. I should be able to get in and find an angle to attack. But they have turtled up, and they've got just power banks and blast nodes, and I just don't have a good way of pushing in. I've utilized things like drops. I've utilized things like Magmadons, Weavers to try to get in there to be big, hardy, absorbing units. They deal extra damage to buildings, so those work really well about like the blast node busting, but it's a lot of investment to get to that stage. They are very expensive, and we're going for the Magmadon investment instead of going for the Weavers, which makes a lot of sense, right? We want to be able to build up and have a hardy front line, take out those Kree, take out the Argents that are in the mix here. And there's so many Animancers, full energy too. And again, we talked about, you know where your opponent is. He's over trying to take out my expansion. The blast node's putting in work. This is what we talk about of how dangerous of a position this is, especially with the Sovereign Watch. There's so much damage here. This army is going to be taken out. And look at these. Oh my gosh. Magmadon's getting hit by those black holes, getting shredded and picked apart there. So great little pickoffs. That's what you're really hoping to see. The army for our Infernal player is kind of all over the place here, getting picked up. But this is the downside to playing against a really good player on this map. That's a Celestial player, where they can just uncontested essentially take over the map. All right, as they start turtling up, their main bases are not really able to get pushed at. Their expansions are just full of blast nodes that they get to start doing, and really going to be powering up and put them in a nice position to kind of defend. So how will Kel respond to this? He's backing up, taking the center, trying to build up a decent, higher tech force using the Magmadons. He's trying to take an expansion of his own, but I really would love to see kind of that next stage here. And yeah, okay, we are going to be getting into our Elder Shrine, going to get to that top tier stage of things here. That, of course, gives us access to our Dragon as our tier 3 unit, but also additional upgrades and power to kind of help us. And now here's the big surge, moving our way forward here, going to catch this a location off guard where it was not ready to be defensive, and they're just sitting here with link nodes. No more towers there to defend, and this base will get run over here. But here come the Kree. They're going to come back, and they're going to take out these Gaunts in the background. Where are the Stomps? Magmadon's coming up, trying to help out here. The Kree jumped on top. Those Gaunts are now shredded here, and the remaining Magmadons and fighting forces will get cleaned up. So this base still left alive. In the meantime, some Magmadons coming in, and that's the danger part. Your Animancers are weak like that, and they do get a couple of them, but look at the Black Hole will be able to clean up all of those units. And here's that kind of reinforcements, the next pocket of units coming in. We're just seeing kind of wave after wave, and we'll get a couple of Animancers for free in the process. But was it a trade that he wanted? I do not believe so here, because again, you are fine sitting here and being able to trade off there. We've still got this. Oh my gosh, the Magmadons and the Fiends actually cleaned it up. And look at this Magmadon getting in, doing the last little bit of damage, but the rest of the forces will get cleaned up, have to rally up and back up to that watchtower to kind of protect himself and save himself in this location here. But, you know, taking out that base actually worked out well. You traded quite a bit for it, and by still having a decent fighting force back at home, we're able to kind of take over the remaining camps and continue up with our game plan here. So this is that transition, right? Brutes are not useful anymore. So you're trying to think about, what unit am I going to use as my kind of fighting force to help protect me and protect my army, my DPS from the Gaunts, and that's where the Magmadons come in. And look at this. Is he finding the right angle, the timing to get in here? Blast node still there. Oh, look how fast they are. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Another Black Hole shreds off a lot of these units. And there's the Magmadons. They're so slow. We'll catch some Argents here. More Sovereigns getting added to the mix. That high damage from the air is going to be really scary, really powerful to deal with. We'll be able to start taking out the Magmadons, and this army is not long from this world. Even though they're stampeding their way forward here, look at those Black Holes slowing them down, damaging them down, and can he stampede his way forward here to take out any of these forces? No, they're getting caught and cleaned up. The Gaunts getting caught, cleaned up, and that army is just getting split apart. This is that tough spot where you're just kind of left and going, I don't know how to bust and deal with a turtled up Celestial player on this map. Everything that I do is ineffective. They're able to kind of take over the entire bottom of the map, and now I'm left trying to scramble and put together a fighting force that is enough to deal with this. And look at this. He tore through the trees. He's making his way into the main base and going to just end the game here. He says, I'm coming in. I don't care what you've got. You're not going to have this base much longer. And he says, okay, there's no army here. I'm going to be parking myself at your ramp. If you try to move up it, I'm just going to drop Black Hole after Black Hole after Black Hole. Very similar to what we would see from like dropping storms in these locations. But Magmadon's coming in and trying to put a stop with it. There's another storm coming in here. Gaunts were able to sneak their way in, but look at this. Immediately starts targeting there. The map is going to get covered with some shroud to try to help us out, but it is not enough. This army is left alive, and GameFriend is going to be locking down the Infernal side of the map here and moving his way in. Shroudstone's coming in to try to protect and defend, but it's 118 supply to 64. More reinforcements coming in. The main base is forfeit. Look at this. Oh my gosh, Black Hole just killing all of those Fiends here. There's the Dragon trying to come in, but is it enough? Is there enough anti-air to kind of deal with it? We'll see, as the Celestials will send a Scythe right for the Dragon. He's not even worried about it. He says, I've got this. I'm coming in here. In the meantime, we see Fiends pouncing on top of all these forces, but the Argents still don't care. With the backing of all these Animancers, there's the next little Black Hole taking out some more of the Gaunts, and the Dragon gets taken out there as well, and things are tough, but Kel not giving up without a fight, going to be making sure that his opponent earns this win. It is a best of 5, but GG is called. Kel taps out, and GameFriend ties up the series 1-1 here in this best of 5 series. What a tough position to be in as an Infernal player. We got to see some of the benefits of fighting against a turtled up Celestial player. You get to zip around the map. You get to start taking over all of the locations. You get to kind of position yourself with all the towers, but then there's nothing you can do once they are able to just say, I'm taking over the entire bottom. And I have all these defensive structures here that have AoE damage. So if you get clumped up or not paying attention because I'm also attacking you over here, then you're in a lot of trouble. And it's like little avenues like that that will mess with our opponents. So we're going to be seeing what is going to be game number 3 here in this best of 5. They're expensive, but I do feel like Weavers work very well about dealing damage to structures. They also have that kind of Viper pull, get over here, Scorpion style to try to pull some of those Anomancers, but they're slow. They barely move off of Shroud, so it's like it's tough to go that route. Now we are going into game number 3 in this best of 5 qualifying match here. Spawning up in the north, it's going to be our red Celestial player, known as GameFriend. His opponent, spawning in the south, representing the Infernals, he is Kel. All right, we're on the classic. We're here, Broken Crown. Oh, we're going super aggro here. Look at this. So we're going to be throwing down some meat farms. We're going to be throwing down some Shroud Stones. We're coming in here, and we're playing for keeps. This is this very aggressive, creeping harassment style that you get to be able to do here. And look at this. First Shroud Stone is going to be able to get added in. There's the second Shroud Stone. Link nodes coming in. The Hexen is going to be fought because we already have an Argent out on the map. This is a very tough position to be in, though, because the Argent will be able to deal a little bit extra damage here. He's got a lot of energy built up, and there is the next Argent coming out here. How well can he do? He's basically just trying to hold out and delay until these Shroud Stones come up, because that'll make a huge difference in this fight, in this push here. Where's the reinforcements? There's some Fiends. The first Brute that came out is going and split into the Fiends, and he's going right for this. And look at this. We see, oh my gosh, we do see the Morph Core coming out here. We do the split. Both trade off here, but the Fiends are out. There's the Shroud Stones that are completed here, but we are seeing the Sovereign's Watch help out. We're doing that defense. Shroud Stones are doing what they can. They're going right for the collection array here. They switch it up, start going for the strike node. We want to make sure that that is not going to get powered up and be able to be a problem. And there we go. More Argents are coming out here, and we do see, of course, one Shroud Stone is very low in health, but now we can start dealing damage to the prisons. I like seeing a switch up from our game plan. Let's be very aggressive. Let's try to mess with our opponent a bit here. And look at this. Already just takes out the Argent as he spawns. Great targeting down here. And how well will GameFriend respond to this as more Fiends start showing up? The next Brute immediately gets popped and turned into Fiends, and now he's going to be going in, targeting this down. Look at this, lifts off the collection array, flies away here, and we do end up seeing our nice little defense. We'll be able to take out one of the Shroud Stones. Argent does pop, but does get cleaned up here. Are we set up here? Okay, we are mining over here at the potential third base here, but this base is forfeit. The GameFriend is not necessarily out and dead and out of this. He still has this chance to be able to continue up. It's going to be a very tough position to be in, because look at this, more and more Fiends coming out here. They are scouting and seeing what's going on. Do you have this base? What's happening? What are you doing? Shroud Stone doing work. And look at this. It's going to be this kind of little tickle back and forth between these two players here. We do have the power bank trying to give him more energy with the little bit he's got, but it's not enough. Now with the second one, though, we should be in a better position here. But look, here come the Fiends. They're ready. They're going to pounce, and they're going to say, yay, good job trying to weaken my tower. I'm not going to be letting you have that for the price of for free. So keeping the pressure up this entire time here. In the meantime, this is going to be destroyed. No more creation chamber allowed, and now it's going to be this kind of panic mode. How are you getting back into this game? How are you going to be able to survive this as more and more Fiends move their way across? The main base is now forfeit. It belongs to the Infernal host. This third base is going to be tried to get created here, but the Fiends know that there's got to be another base up somewhere. So he's going to be on the scramble, on the lookout, going to try to find it here. In the meantime, we see the gaunts have gotten added in here. We're on this one base. There's the reveal, checking to see what is going on here. And Ritual Chamber is getting added in. He goes, okay, you don't have Ritual Chamber yet. That's cool. You've only got one Conclave. You've got 2 Iron Vaults, and the Fiends have found him. Boom, Sovereign's Watch coming down here. Let's try to get our nice little defensive positioning, but he could just build up a huge fighting force and go and hit a nice timing attack if he wanted to. In the meantime, he's going to take advantage of the creeps that are on the map and start gathering up those resources and get that little bit of extra power to help him out. You can watch him increase his resources. Because he was only on one base, he could be able to utilize that. But we send the Fiend over. He says, okay, I got a great advantage here. I'm not going to overcommit and just try to like end up losing everything for the price for free. I'm going to build up here. Once I get up to a high enough count, which is that 350 mark, I can be able to take my expansion here. In the meantime, we're going to be starting to creep up and help us get to that 350 mark, utilize all the resources that are on the map, take advantage of all the camps that are on the map. And yes, our opponent will start to build up here, but they lost quite a bit. They lost a lot of mining time. They lost a lot of production. They've invested so much into this kind of expansion, this base, but Ardents are able to come over and take out the speed tower. GameFriend not giving up and will be committing to trying to still win this game. This is that difference between playing this on the ladder and playing this in a tournament setting, where some players might have just been like, okay, GG, go next. I'm done. I'm not going to put up with this Shroudstone rush that you did. I'm going to, try to adjust and just reset myself mentally for the next game. But because it's a tournament match, because this is the last chance qualifier, you have to give it your all. You have to play it out. Play for keeps, no excuses. Let's go for that W. And the Army's eyes is looking pretty scary right now for Kel. He's got quite a bit of these Gaunts starting to get built up here. Do we have our research on the way here? Yep, it just finished up here. So now we've got our Plague Axes have finished up, so we can be able to start infesting. We're going to get that army count even higher. More and more Fiends getting added in also means we get to start taking over more and more towers. Ooh, Morph Core is going to come in and get a collection array going over here. But look at this. Let's get the speed camp. Let's try to scare our opponents off. But look at this. Again, utilizing that kiting ability to kind of mess and sit here. Let's poke up. Let's go back up on the hill. You run away. And then we could be able to just pick away at these troops. But look at this. Big timing push. The army was busy creeping. They weren't ready for this push here. And he goes right for the arc ship here, utilizing all these Gaunts. And he's pouncing right on top of this, taking out more and more prisms. Here come the Argents in the back. And he's going to try his best to kind of kite his way into a corner. But the Gaunts jump on it. There's the effigy. And GG gets called. Very aggressive. Game number 3 for Kel here. It says, okay, you are more powerful the longer the game goes on. We got to see it in game number 2, so I'm not going to let this game go long. I'm going to make sure that I'm locking down, and I'm going for a very aggressive opening here. We're going to be going in. We're going for the double Shroudstone rush on this map, and you're going to have a real hard time dealing with it. Ooh, this map. Okay, Boneyard. Spawning up in the north. Currently up 2-1. Needs one more match in order to win and qualify for the finals next week. He is Kel. Going for the same plan. Early rush. His opponent spawning in the south, representing the Celestial. Currently down 1-2. Needs to tie things up for a chance to stay in this game. He is GameFriend. Look at this. Hexen is here. Oh, man. Okay, not going for the same, but going for a really aggressive forward Iron Vault, going for a very aggressive Fiend, and going for a very aggressive Brute strategy here. And look at this. We'll be coming in here and taking over one of the Slimes, getting a Fiend, and tried to go for the last hit, but did not get it. But every little bit counts as you kind of get yourself set up to kind of be annoying, be scary, posture, and go for the last hit. Oh, man. I wish we could see who got the last hit off sometimes. Ooh, hey, a free prism. Now, the Morph Core can come over here and deal with this unless he just morphs into a creation chamber, then you can't. And then you're kind of going to have to rely on producing an Argent. Of course, you get plenty of power. You are able to kind of produce these units pretty quickly. Prism is going to take a little bit of damage. The Illuminate Mine, of course, Collection Array is going to take some damage and all that. Oh, that's going to be a big hit as the 2 brutes just show up, and he's probably like, how did you get here so fast? What did you do? And we see our Sovereign's Watch just zapping away at him. Is he going to be able to take it out? He does get to take it out, and will take out the Hexen in the process here. So this, of course, Sovereign's Watch, we're doing a lot of work, but we are seeing some of the power banks getting taken out here. Another one is going to start getting produced up here. Link nodes getting added into the mix here. And our brute is getting low. So this little first push is a little bit deflected. But the next 2 brutes are coming out. And this is showing that, hey, we're not done. We're going to keep coming, right? As soon as I get the resources, I'm building another one. As soon as I get the resources, I'm building another one. And they are just going to walk just a little bit, and they're in your base. How well can you deal with this? And we see going for the link node again, because that is going to be getting... Oh, okay. He's going to stop the collection. Going to be chilling. We see more and more of our Argents get added to the mix here. These power banks are really important. We keep talking about how important it is to be able to have that extra energy. Argents deal more damage the more energy that they have. So without that energy, they are a little bit weaker. Sovereign Watch coming out here, zapping away. But guess what? As soon as you kill those brutes, the next 2 show up. And this is like this unrelenting force coming across the map. Now, this is not as all in as we might have expected, because our natural expansion is almost done. So this is basically saying utilizing all of the resources that I would have been committing to creeping and doing things like that to aggression here. There's the next wave, and this time we had not cleaned up all the brutes, right? The last couple pushes we've been able to deal with the brutes, but this time the wave is non-stop, unending amount of pressure here, and this little position has been pretty good for delaying things and holding things back. But there, the Argent falls. The next Argents will not be able to defend this location, and it looks like Kel is securing himself a 3-1 victory here to move into the Alpha Navigator Cup Finals. Lifting up, flying away, says, okay, you can't shoot up, so I guess I'm leaving. Goodbye. And we do not have the Conclave yet, so it's going to be a little bit of time before that changes. But yeah, everywhere is gone, right? Think about it during this time. All of this movement, all this like runaway, the collection arrays is basically saying, I'm going to try to go somewhere else. Look at him. He is trying to go somewhere else, but the brutes are aware of it. They're watching. So they says, okay, let's take these additional creep camps. Let's have the fiends ready to attack this if it lands, because you can lift off and float around. But once it lands, it becomes a ground structure. It can be attacked by all these ground units. The fiend, though, is on a mission. It's got to be checking, making sure, hey, are you mining from over here? Where did you fly off to? And he's going to come back and go, what? I thought you abandoned this location. You did not abandon this location. Okay. And he's coming back in. The creation chamber is not yet finished, but the amount of brutes here will not let it finish as he kind of pounces on top of this. More and more link nodes going to try to get added in here, but look at effigy coming out here. We're going to start seeing that white health, the extra armor getting added on for all of these brutes here to make it a little bit easier for them to stay alive. And now more and more brutes getting added in. Here come the gaunts across the map here, and he says, if you try to fly away this time, I'll be ready here. And the arc ship is just left hanging out above as all of the celestial structures start to crumble, start to fall, and there's not much that our game friend can do in this series to stay in it and hold out. But he's not out and eliminated from the tournament. He gets knocked down to the loser bracket, where he will be able to kind of fight for his chance to make it to the finals. But there's the gaunts, and he can just now start going in. Boom, collection array destroyed. Now there's not much that can happen here. GG is called as the gaunts have arrived. GG indeed. What a powerful push. All came down to these iron vaults here. So very, very nice to see. We got to see like a good gameplay awareness and reactions for GameFriend to try to find a way around it, try to navigate and put himself in a good position to move forward here, but it did not work out in that case, saying, hey, the longer the game goes on, the worse that I am positioned, because you showed me what a macro game looks like, and I could not handle that. So we're going all aggro all the time for game 3, game 4, and it caught our GameFriend off guard. Kel able to take that series there 3-1. Very nice games across. Congratulations to Kel for moving on in the event.